On a successful completion of this lesson, the students will be able to understand and analyze various regulatory frameworks and policies in Europe, which aim to increase the contribution of renewable energy sources to the total energy production. The course will also provide the students with a comprehensive knowledge and understanding of the rules and regulations which govern the harnessing of renewable energy sources. The first efforts in promoting the renewable energy sources can be found in the late of 1970s. After the oil shocks in 1973 and 1979, the European Community adopted a program for the rationalize of the use of energy. However, the support of the renewable energy sources at that time came by the national research and development programs of the few European countries. It was in the beginning of the 90s, after Earth Summit, when the climate change moved to the center of European Union's agenda. This cause became the driving force to reduce the CO2 emissions by means of renewable energy sources development. In the middle of 1990s, several acts which aimed to develop common energy strategies were adopted. For example, in 1995, an act called the Green Paper, which is the energy for the future using renewable sources, was adopted. And in the 1996, a policy strategy aimed to increase the share of renewable energy in the total energy consumption was proposed. The EU 2001/77 EC is a European Union decree for promoting renewable energy use in electricity generation. It is well known as the Renewable Energy Sources Directive. The purpose of this decree is to promote an increase in the contribution of renewable energy sources to the electricity production. The Transport Biofuel Directive, which is EU 2003/30 EC, is a decree for promoting the use of biofuels for European transport. The directive entered into force in May 2003 and states that the national measures must be taken by European countries to replace almost 6% of all transport fossil fuels with biofuels by 2010. EU 2010/28 EC puts mandatory targets for the share of renewable energy in total energy consumption. Such mandatory national overall targets will lead to generate 20% out of the total energy consumption from renewable sources in 2020. Therefore, each member state should adopt a national renewable energy action plan. This means that they will have to follow distinctive paths when it comes to meeting their obligations under the renewable energy directives. The key elements of European Union's Renewable Energy Directive EU 2009/28 EC for 2020s are referred in different articles as follows: mandatory national targets and measures for renewable energy sources, national renewable energy action plans, cooperation mechanisms, administrative procedures, guarantees of origin, grid access and operation, renewable energy sources in transport and biofuel sustainability. The 2020 package is a set of binding legislations to ensure that European Union meets its climate and energy targets for the year of 2020. The package sets three key targets. First is 20% cut in greenhouse gas emissions from the 1990 levels. Second is 20% of European Union energy comes from renewable sources. And third is 20% improvement in energy efficiency. European Union is taking action in several areas to meet the targets. Member states have also taken on obligatory national targets for raising the share of renewables in their total energy consumption. Finally, the revised Renewable Energy Directive, which is 2018-2001 EU, entered into force in December 2018 and aimed to keep the European Union as the global leader in renewable energy utilization, as well as to meet the emission reduction commitment under the Paris Agreement. The new directive establishes a new target for European Union, which is 32% of the total energy consumption comes from renewable energies by 2023. The new directive also defines sustainability criteria for liquid biofuels used in transport, as well as some criteria for solid and biomass fuels used for power, heating, and cooling. The key European Union measures introduced by 2018 directive are indicated as follows: binding overall Union target for 2030, support schemes and cooperational mechanisms, administrative procedures, guarantees of origin, renewable energy in transport and sustainability criteria for biofuels and bioliquids and biomass fuels. The regulatory framework of directives still face some major obstacles. These barriers can be summarized as following: social barriers such as lack of awareness and lack of skilled personnel; economic barriers such as subsidies for competing fuels and high initial capital cost; technological barriers such as grid integration and lack of research and development capabilities; regulatory barriers such as ineffective governmental policies.